Good afternoon, everybody. My name is Jana Bontrager. I am the English teacher, one of many English teachers actually, with Big River Academy. Nobody was able to make it to the live webinar this time. If somebody pops in, we'll take care of them. But for now, you may be watching on the recording to find out who am I, what do I do? I teach English 1, English 2, English 3, and English 4. As you may guess from the Roman numerals, this is a sequence of comprehensive English classes, and I'll tell you more about that in just a moment. I also teach a class called Writing the Research Paper. I'll tell you about that as well. I'll tell you a little bit about me just to introduce myself. Of course, you see me. Well, my other half is my husband. His name is Scott. This is a good picture of him with what he loves to do. He loves to fish. I have 5 children total, and 2 of them are bonus children. We don't call them stepchildren, they're my bonus kids, and 3 of them are mine biologically. But this is Christopher, Sarah, Jolene. They are just a bunch of dolls together. And then I have Benjamin, who is a sassy 19-year-old, and I have a daughter named Mary. She is 23, and this is her significant other. This is Austin. They just had a baby, so I am a grandmother. I'm so excited. A little bit about my education and background. I got my undergrad in English education from Florida State University. It was a terrific program. I loved it. I got my master's in online education from Concordia University. Whenever I decided to go back, it was after I'd already become an online teacher for several years, and I just thought, if I'm going to go for something, I want to be better at what I do in the online classroom. So that's what I decided to do. I have 10 years of experience in teaching. I have some of it in the traditional school. I have some of it online, so it's kind of a combination of the two. Sometimes I'll even refer to my brick and mortar classroom. But for the last 3 years, I have been teaching online in this very type of classroom right here. I am happily married with all my kiddos, and we have 2 dogs, a cat, and 2 guinea pigs. And so there is never a quiet moment in our house. I'm expecting at any moment for there to be some sort of interruption. Okay, so people want to know what books we use in the English classes and in the writing the research paper class. And my words went away. Sorry about that. This is a picture of the fella whose books I follow. His name is Michael Clay Thompson. You may be familiar with his work. He uses the Grammar Island, Grammar Town, Grammar Voyage, and the Magic Lens texts. And I would hold them all up for you, but they come in a package. There are 4 or 5 books per level. So English 1 will have 4 or 5 books that go along with it, and English 2 will as well. And so will English 3 and English 4. The beautiful thing about getting a series of books like this instead of one big textbook is because we have lots of variety in our English classes. We study grammar, of course, you expect grammar in English. You expect things like poetry and literature, but we also cover extensive vocabulary, and the vocabulary is the best vocabulary I have ever taught or seen in all of my educational career. So I just really love those books. Like I said, this is a guy named Michael Clay Thompson who has it. I'll type in the chat here his name so that you can copy and paste it if you want to. Michael Clay Thompson, just like it sounds. You can find his work at Royal Fireworks Press. Type that in. Press.com. You can see that there's a link right there. You can copy it, or maybe it's live if you see it on the recording. But those are the series that we go through. One follows very smoothly into the other. If you didn't start with English 1 and you see that that's a middle school class and you have a ninth grader who needs an English class, you don't have to have these prerequisites in order to start with something like English 4. It's a pretty easy curriculum to ease into, even if you don't have the prerequisites here. Of course, if you're starting in middle school, going straight through is a great idea. The other class that I teach is writing the research paper. We use this book, the Writer's Ink book. Now, this is a 2006 edition, and I know that that sounds like an old edition, and there are getting to be some outdated pieces in this book, but for the most part, Writing a research paper hasn't changed all that much, and so we just use this one. You may even have this one laying around your house somewhere. A lot of college classes, college writing classes, will use this one as well. This one is less of a comprehensive class, more of a specialized class. Most of my students who come with me through these English levels will then get finished with English 4 and then take me for writing the research paper simply because they are comfortable with my teaching style and they can go on into the specialized writing class. But this is geared more toward the upper high school classes because this class not only teaches you how to write an English paper, but it teaches you how to write a science research paper or a history research paper, pretty much anything that you would do a research paper for in high school and in college. Great, great class to take. And these classes, um, I struggled with trying to rename these classes, but I left them alone because a lot of people are familiar with them. This is not freshman English, sophomore, junior, and senior English. These begin late elementary school, middle school. I even have students who come to me in English 1 or 2 or 3 who are in late middle school. Oh, hello, Allison and Nancy. How are you guys today? I've already gotten started a little bit, but welcome, welcome. There you go. Nancy's finding the chat. Good to see you. Allison, you and I spoke a little bit ago. It is wonderful to see you ladies. I'll show you guys the pictures of my family. I already went over all this stuff just for just a few minutes. I would like to cordially introduce my husband and my kiddos, all my kiddos. And my grandbaby, this is just a few moments after she was born. We are so very proud. And I was just going over my classes and how we're doing the Michael Clay Thompson series in English 1 through 4 and the Writer's Ink text in writing the research paper. Do you ladies have any questions for me so far? It's different to now be in the hot seat. Your kids are used to being in here, but you guys aren't. Let's see what Miss Allison has to ask here. Let's see. Do you have a link like Landry did for the student books to purchase Michael Clay Thompson? I don't currently have that up, although I'm working on class book lists right now. That's a great suggestion to have a link set up to where you find the class, you click the link. I will definitely look into that, Allison. There are syllabi available for English 3 and English 4 upon request. I don't want to divulge too much information on the website, but if you would like, I can send you either of these syllabi. These two classes are still being developed, although I can give you a pretty good idea of what to expect from them, Nancy. English 2. Okay, I'll be developing that curriculum pretty quickly. As soon as I get the books, they are en route. So I will get that to you. If you'll just send me an email reminder, I'll get those to you. Yes, the literature books. I have not ironed out English 1 and English 2 yet. I'm still looking into some children's classics for that one. That's a great question, though. The literature books for English 3 are, I'll get them for you. We do Much Ado About Nothing. We actually do the No Fear Shakespeare, the SparkNotes version, because it's kind of like a newer English translation, but that's the Shakespeare that we do in English 3. Another book that we do in English 3 is Helen Keller's The Story of My Life. That is our nonfiction work that we work with. Another book that we do is The Adventures of Tom Sawyer by Mark Twain. I love Twain. He is one of my all-time favorite authors. And we also do Alice's Adventures in Wonderland by Lewis Carroll. So those are the literature pieces, the novels that we cover in English 3. We cover a few other short stories, though. We cover Rikki Tikki Tavi, and another one is Rip Van Winkle. Couldn't think of the name there for a second. I know it started with an R. We have quite a stack of books for, let me grab all of them. I've got them a little bit scattered around here. The first book that we cover in English 4 is Treasure Island, Robert Louis Stevenson. Great book, great classic. The boys usually dig that one. The next one that we do will be A Christmas Carol, and I can't lay my hands on that one right now because we did it back before December. And let me see, we also do To Kill a Mockingbird. That's what we're working on right now. We do The Time Machine, H.G. Wells, so a little bit of sci-fi in there. And we do Pygmalion. And this is the play that My Fair Lady was based off. So we have a little bit of everything in there. And we will be doing another nonfiction work, but I have to decide which one we're doing. Nancy, that's a great question. She's asking if we have any discounts for Landry students or former Landry students. Nancy, we don't offer discounts, but we do keep our prices low across the board. We offer one semester classes for $175, $175, and then full year classes are $350. You don't have to order before any specific day. Those are the class prices across the board. So if you order now or if you order the beginning of August, you'll get those same prices. Those are great questions, though. Any others before I move forward? All right, you're very welcome. All righty. So like I mentioned, this is what's covered in my English classes. We do intensive grammar. Usually we front load the grammar in the very beginning part of the classes. We do it in the first 6-8 weeks. We work on grammar pretty intensely. We also work on vocabulary. Now vocabulary, this is done differently than I've ever taught it before. Usually you do vocabulary in whole words. You know, you get a new word and you define it and you memorize it. The vocabulary that we do in the way that Michael Clay Thompson's series teaches is you break the words apart and you learn the pieces of the words, what the piece means. For instance, the stem re means again. So anything that you see with the stem, the piece of the word re on it at the beginning, you know that that means again. Or the stem un, un, is going to mean not. Well, anything with un on the beginning of it, you're going to assume that means not, so on and so forth. They get much more complicated by English 4, but that has been the most effective vocabulary I've ever seen. We also do writing. For the lower level classes, we work on structuring sentences and paragraphs, so they're not lots of long writing assignments. But by English 4, we do large academic papers, like 800 words apiece, and we even add a tiny research element in there. I just told you guys about the literature. We do poetry, we do meter, we do rhyme, we do figurative language. It's all very fun, and we get to know poetry very intimately. Any questions on my English classes? Looking good? Alrighty. Let's see if Allison's coming up with something. Classical roots translates very easily to the vocabulary that we do. We don't call them roots, we call them stems because sometimes they're prefixes, sometimes they're suffixes, and so we just call them stems, like pieces. But this vocabulary, it helps students in science, it helps them in social studies classes. It's wonderful. There is no need to continue that for one. Exactly, Allison. If you want to pause that, we cover vocabulary extensively in English 4, like learning 25 new stems a week. Yay! Right, that's my job now. That's wonderful, huh? Okay. For the writing the research paper, if that's something that you're ever interested in, we have 3 large papers. The English classes, English 1 through 4, are all full year classes. Writing the research paper is a 1 semester class. So you can either take it in the fall or you can take it in the spring. But it's only, that 15-week span of 1 semester. In that class, we cover 3 papers. The first one is the training wheels paper. I give the students the topic of social media. They are allowed to use research that I give them. I give them a bank of 5 different articles that they can read through so that they don't have to go and find their own research. And we're really working on the writing process. We go step by step. So for some students, it's like, oh my gosh, this is really, really meticulous. And it is. But we teach them how to get organized, how to take notes, and keep those notes handy and organized so that writing is much easier. By the second paper, we let the students choose their topic. And this one's usually the more fun paper to do because they can choose something that they're interested in. By this time, the training wheels are coming off, but I'm still right there with them every step of the way. This one's also longer than the first one is. By the third one, I give them the option, or I give them the topic, but they get to pick what they want to write about within that topic. I tell them that they need to tell me about their post-secondary plans. And usually, I have students come back after doing this third paper, and this when the training wheels are pretty much off. I'm still there for them to, we still work on tips and tricks here and there, but for the most part, I am like hands off. Like, okay, I'm here for you if you need me. If you fall, I can catch you, but for the most part, you can do this by yourself. You're riding the bike yourself. And then a lot of my kids come back and say, I decided what I wanted to do after high school because I wrote this paper, because I actually researched it and it helped me make a decision. So this one's the useful paper. Not so much fun. Fun, useful is how it goes. We go into MLA format in depth and we go step by step through the writing, through the research process. Oh man, like I said, a lot of my students are like, I don't know what I want to do. And I'm like, well, you got to pick something to research. And by the end of it, they're like, oh, I want to go to this school or I want to do this. This military branch sounds great. And it just gets that fire started in them. All right. Do you ladies have any questions before we wrap it up here? If you can't think of any, that is just fine. You can actually email me later if you want to. I'll give you my email address. It is jbontrager@bigriveracademy.com. You're very welcome, Allison. All right, ladies, if you guys don't have any other questions, that's all I have for you. Thank you for coming.